If you are interested in anything like this, you see it on HGTV all the time, but they don't necessarily show you real life. What I do is I teach you what it takes to actually run a fix and flip business. So today what we did was I found a house that is definitely worth taking a look at. But before you jump out the door, and I've talked about this before, I want to make sure, number one, that it's in an area that is conducive to give me the ARV, which is after repair value, that it's going to give me what I want to make profit. When we have drive-up appeal, that's something that we are also interested in. I have a nice neighborhood. We've already driven this neighborhood. We even drove the backyard, where is the alleyway, and took a look from the back side of the house. There's a lot of issues with this particular house, and I brought with me one of my best builders. He does all of my renovations, and he happens to be my husband. His name is Tad. I want you to meet him, and come on in the house for a second here. This house in particular is what's called a heavy rehab. You have 3 kinds of rehab: light, medium, and heavy. So this one is definitely a heavy. That is going to require a good builder that understands everything it talked about in construction. So you're not the one that's going to be doing this by yourself. You don't even need to be project managing this. It needs to be a general contractor that understands everything about a full construction of a home. And that happens to be my husband. His name is Tad. He is a custom home builder. He's got plenty of awards to back that up, including Architectural Digest. So something I really am glad that I have. But I like for him to walk anything that has to do with medium to heavy rehab. So Tad, I'd like for you to take us around and show us the things that have already been done. And we know why this particular house isn't a heavy rehab through investigation on our own. This had a fire, and the water damage you see is from firemen extinguishing the fire. Tad's going to show you all the things that they've tried to do that needs to be corrected and what has to be done.
First thing is about when you come in to inspect a home like this, you have to have a set routine and a set way of doing it. In my case, I always go room to room, left to right. So I'm going clockwise around that room. Front door, I'm going to my left, and I see where they have taken out most of the sheetrock, but in this case, we know there was a fire in the attic. So what they should have done was all of the sheetrock should have come off. It's all been damaged from the firemen. Not of their fault, but just the water that they used to put the fire out. So this should have all been back to bare studs. Okay. Just a few things that we saw here. They have done some new rewiring in here. They put a scab on this particular 2x6 here. Not sure why, other than the fact that over time, this 2x6 may have warped or distorted And this was one way of them to kind of straighten it back out. In this case, it would have been better if they'd had all the sheetrock out, insulation out. The bottom of it has already been split. Now the staircase is all brand new. This has been reframed. Unfortunately, it was framed incorrectly. The reason I say that is, one, this area from the base of this to here has to be a minimum of 7 inches. So on this step here, we don't have that. And on this step here, we don't have that. So unfortunately, when they reframed this, they reframed it incorrectly. Would this pass a city inspector? Some it will, some it won't. They'll catch it, and they would have to come in and totally reframe the staircase. But the staircase itself is all brand new wood. If you follow it around here, you see that they have no safety railings put up around here. When you're in the middle of rehabbing a home, always have your safety railings up. If someone were to fall off of this when they were coming in and looking and inspecting the house, you would see that they would be in a major lawsuit. Safety first. So safety railing up here, safety railing over here. They got the one board up, not quite sufficient, but it's better than nothing. And then all the way around the top here. The other thing we noticed is on the concrete floor here, they chipped out two different areas. I could only assume at this point that there was a leak under the slab, and they had to come in here at the tip of my toe there on my shoe. You'll see copper coming up, and somehow they've done a loop, or they've had to go in and repair or fix something and then just never patched it back. Not necessarily a good thing that you want to see in a foundation, that they've got leaks underneath. In some cases, that means that the foundation is settled or moved, and it has taken that copper underneath and twisted, cut it, broke it, a lot of different things. As we go around the entryway here, we come into a kind of a little foyer area that goes into the master bedroom here to my right. And this here, if I were remodeling this would all be redone. This would be taken out. I'd use the space somewhere else for more efficiently, but nothing necessarily wrong with what's there, though. And as we came back around here, back to the front door, you can see again, they left sheetrock up, insulation in, not really sure why. This should have all been taken out and demoed. And at one point in time, there was an entry closet in here of some sort. And I can tell that by the tack strip down here for the carpet. We have tile out here. The wall was in here. The tack strip, they had carpet inside of the closet. So from here, we go back past the front door, we go into the formal dining area. You'll see some of this debris. Now, this house has been in this state since 2021. So the fire must have happened sometime at that point. So we've had a lot of this stuff just sitting here doing nothing. First thing I want to point out is that, again, all this sheetrock should have been taken off around the windows. All the insulation should have been taken out. On this wall here, the framing of this window is incorrect. It's tough to see, but I will show you in another part of the house where it should have been done correctly. The other thing is that you see a lot of black along the baseboard here. This tells me at one point in time that this sat in the water for quite a while, and that you actually have mold growing inside this home. Most of the black you see on the insulation is going to be a combination of, one, the firemen and the black soot that came down the walls, and some of that in there I'm sure is mold. Mold will grow on anything. So, example why I believe it's also mold is that when we come to this next wall here, you'll see that they've done a paint along the baseboard here. And that paint tells me that there was mold here. They've come in, they've sprayed it with an anti-mold paint, one to keep it from coming back for the most part. Now, a good part of the framing of this house is they do have a cross member in here. Don't see this a whole lot anymore. This particular framer must have been used to doing it. It's a nice frame for a wall like this. Again, we look up higher to the wall here. We see, though, that they left the insulation in there from the fire, and I'm not really sure why. That all needs to be taken out. If you look at the ceiling in here, you'll see that it's all painted white. So some of these timbers have been replaced. Some of these timbers are original for the ceiling joists. But in this case, they had mold on them because they must have been sitting quite a while. The sheetrock may have not fallen off, so they were in standing water. As you come across here, you have a big double beam up here that goes across. We come down that double beam here, and then we look at the back side of the staircase. Kind of unusual in how this was framed out. I guess it works, but usually you don't frame stairs out past the inside of a wall here. So you wouldn't have that part of the stairs. And the same with the other end there as it comes down the staircase. If you can look straight up here, you'll see that all this roof line has been all reframed. All new 2x6 and 2x8s up there. So this is all new roofing and roof trusses. Now, as we come into the dining, we'll start again on the left side of the room, work our way around. Now, here's what I was telling you about as to how the framing on this, to me, is not correct. You have a header that supports going all the way across this window here. This header should have come all the way over both of these 2x4s up here, and a third one would have been added here, like this one, that would have gone all the way up, all the way down. Again, we have the same situation where they've painted the bottom here, so that tells me that mold started growing sometime after the fire, or it could have even happened possibly because of window leaks and that type. So again, the header, same situation here. It's sitting on one 2x4 versus two of them, and a third one should have been put in here, scabbed onto here. They call these stud packs. What do I mean by a stud pack? It's when you have multiple 2x4s, 2x6, 2x8s put together as a solid beam or a solid column. And they'd call that a stud pack. This wall here apparently originally had a doorway through here, and this is all new wall that's been put in here going into the kitchen. So they again have reframed this. You have to remember, everything on the first floor is carrying the weight of the second floor. So again, here, this should have been another 2x4 in here. This should be sitting on two 2x4s with the one on the outside. Another 2x4 should have been put in here to carry this weight going up. Before we leave this room, well, look at this reframing here. They put in a brand new beam across here. And I'm guessing it was because of one sagging or it got damaged or it was warped. So they put this new beam in. They have it under two 2x6s over here on the end, which that's good. They have it scabbed up here to make it more of a solid pack. They would have been better just making a whole another 2x6 all the way down and filling this in between these two. And then they did the wall support, a T-support here that would have gone into that. So it would have given them a nice secure column. This right now could warp on you. There's nothing supporting it from the weight above, other than these two 2x6s on the very end here. They came in and they cut off some 2x4s here. And I'm not sure why they did that, but I would have thought that they would have put some more in here and probably even done a stud pack here so that this would have been more solid. This is supporting all of your weight on your second floor. So that kind of completes this room here. So again, tells me that sheetrock was left on, water was left in there, and when they finally took all the sheetrock down, they found the mold, and then they had to spray all this area. Good floor system though. Nothing wrong with this floor system. We'll come into the kitchen area now. Again, they have closed the door here, and they've added this to come out this way, okay? Appears they're going to be putting a range or something in here. You got your refrigerator in this area. The cabinets themselves and the granite can all be buffed out. It can be made life new. The cabinets themselves are really not in bad shape. I would just repaint them, clean them out, sand them down, and have them repainted, and they should be just fine. You have a sink here that probably will end up having to be replaced. I don't know if that could be buffed or cleaned out. Then you come to the island here, which in this case, if I were remodeling this, and since they have all the floor tile out and everything, this is a very tight space in here. This is 12. This is probably just over 36, 37, maybe 38 inches in between here. Now, if you were to open this up, really doesn't leave you any space to really walk by here if this were open. So you're remodeling this house from the get-go anyway. Now, if you notice on the cooktop here, they had a downdraft, which means that it goes down underneath the slab and it comes out over here outside the slab. Okay, so that's how they had the venting originally on this for this electric cooktop. You know, they have already come in and put in a new vent that comes up to the ceiling and out. So that tells me they're going to put a hood over this, and they'll redo the island and put a new cooktop in here. I would have a tendency to take this island and move it out and give you a lot more better working space, working triangle in the kitchen than what they have here. Now, what is a working triangle in a kitchen? It's refrigerator, sink, cooktop. In this case, it's actually ovens, refrigerator, sink, and cooktop. So by moving this out, it gives you a better triangle between these here coming over to this section here and a more direct path. So working triangles are really something you want to try to accomplish in any kitchen. Now, some you cannot. Galley kitchens, that type of thing where you just don't have the space to do it. It's a straight shot. You do the best you can. You try to keep the appliances on either side. So again, you still kind of have a working triangle between them. Keep going around in here. You have a pantry. Pantry could be shelved a little bit differently, a little bit more to accommodate more storage in here. Here they just got some simple shelves, but they could have graduated or waterfalled these shelves, lesser on top and wider as you come on down to bring the bottom one almost up to the edge of the door. it adds probably another third of storage space just by doing something that simple within the pantry. The breakfast nook here, again, they didn't take any of this sheetrock out in here. We know they had a mold problem from standing water, but yet, they didn't take out the rest of the sheetrock. They're trying to save $1 that eventually is going to come back and haunt them. All this sheetrock in this entire house should have all been taken out. All the insulation in this house should have been taken out. Windows are something else that it looks like most of the seals are broke on these windows throughout the house, and you probably would have to replace probably 80% of these windows. If you're going to do it that much, you might as well replace all of them. The little additional cost you'll get back in the resale. All right, as we come into the family area, obviously what you see here to my left again is the mold issue that they've had here due to the standing water from the fire people and so forth. And then not just coming in and taking all this sheetrock off. They have run some new ductwork in up here in the ceiling and these I-beams here, these I-joists. So they're in good shape. They look like they're in pretty good shape. Again, good flooring system, nothing wrong with it. They put some new can lights in here, as you can see. Nothing in particular in this wall here, other than it is a support for the I-joists above. Here's a door that's been reframed along with the stairs. Now, to show you how a header should be done, if you look right here now, you got 2 2x4s supporting this header right there. That's the way everything should be done when you have a header going across. Regardless of how much weight it may or may not be supporting above, this is the correct way to do it. Always have 2 with one long one on the outside, ties it all together. And they've also done their nailing from the side here. They nailed in up there, and they nailed these all together this way.
Except that the lumber is not good.
Lumber could be a better quality, yes. And then this was a new wall that they framed in here. I'm not really sure why, but it was framed in. It really isn't supporting anything up above. For whatever reason, they wanted to use that new wall versus the wall for the old existing wall that went along the staircase here, back here. Okay, but that is to show you just how properly it's supported on both ends. I mean, that's very, very important. Now, this is kind of a simple header. It's just a 2x4. It's only supporting the stairs above it here a little bit. So this is fine. It does go all the way across from here to here, and you've got the supports underneath it. So this works. Don't always have to use heavy 2x4s, 2x6s, or beams. Okay, we're going to head into the master bedroom. Here again, this is something that all this sheetrock will have to go. You have no idea what kind of water damage is in behind this sheetrock. You know for a fact, though, that because of all the water they put on to extinguish the fire in this house, that this was at one time all soaked. Everything behind these walls is no good anymore. Sheetrock all has to come out, all new insulation put in. You'll have to look for any kind of black mold, possibly. And in this case here, they've done something up here. I'm not really sure. It looks like an electrical wire that they've had to pass through to put in some new can lights here. And then they also replaced some of the ductwork there. We'll go into the master bath area. And in this case, we'll kind of talk about going from right to left because it'll make it a little bit easier to follow. Something I want to point out here is what they call a gang box. And you'll see these throughout the house. There's actually one in the master bedroom there too. But there are 1, 2, 3, 4 different switches. They can be up to 6 as a rule, or they'll stack and put a 2 and a 2. But anything over 2 is considered a gang box. Now this bathroom, again, they cut all these holes in the sheetrock. It's going to cost you more to go in and patch all those holes than it is to take it all down and just put up new sheetrock and retexture everything.
Well, you'll never see it. It'll never look the same anyway. The rest.
I would probably remodel this bathroom. The 2 sinks is great. The one higher and the one lower. A seating area. Some women like this. Some women don't. It's kind of iffy. In most cases, women don't use those anymore because there's really not enough space for everything that they have. So putting another cabinet in there for storage would probably be more advisable for resale. This tub, this is a demo tub. You take everything out here. You never know what condition that the motor is in. You never know what's been growing in those pipes, and everything else is in this tub. So you could try to save it. It's just going to create more problems down the road. So this is something where a nice redesign would be nice, where you could just take this out. The shower here, for a house this size, and in this price range, is really dinky. It's small. I would bring this shower all the way out to here. When you put in a new tub over here, I would add another foot, maybe even 2 more feet to this shower, because your tub will probably be flat up against that wall. Put in a couple of rain heads, or you could make this an end wall, and you could put 2 shower heads in there, put your door in the center. This area could really be jazzed up and make really nice for someone and make it a lot more usable than what you have here. We came into the closet here, and they did some renovations to kind of a half bath utility room behind here, and they tied into some of the plumbing. I'm guessing why this was cut out. They were looking for that plumbing under the slab. My only concern here on this particular slab is this is a post-tension slab. What is that? Post-tensions are metal cables that are run through the slab, and when it's poured, they act like rebar, and then there's stress put out. So right after pour, they're stressed to about 7,500 PSI. That's pounds per square inch. Okay. After the concrete is cured for a while, they come back in and they'll, depending on the engineer, will re-stress those to anything from 10 to 15,000 PSI. In this case, because of the size hole they have, my question on the slab itself is the space between these cables seems to be excessive. In most cases, these cables should be 18 to 24 inches apart, maximum. In this case, we have a cable here, and I don't see a cable going that way within 18 to 24 inches. We have a cable here that they exposed, this cable here, and again, I don't see another cable coming back this way anywhere 18 to 24 inches.
Cable grid system.
And the cable is a grid system underneath the slab, and they all come out to the edge of the concrete. They're tied at one end, and they're tightened at the other. So this kind of tells me that, looks like some corners were cut here on the slab of putting cables in. This one, I'm guessing this hole was just simply for them trying to find the plumbing. So must remember, if you're working in a post-tension slab like this one is, and you start breaking concrete out, these cables are under great pressure. If you were to cut into one of those and they were to snap, they can be deadly. I have known of several gentlemen that have cut these things in breaking out concrete, and they no longer are here. I mean, these things pop out of here at faster than a bullet out of a gun, basically. So very, very dangerous. When you do something like this, you want to take the time and have a professional come in, and they can scan or x-ray the slab, and they can show you where every one of these cables are. And what they'll do is they'll put a line along there, and then usually they'll give you about 3 inches on either side, just to make sure that you know that you're getting close. So they'll paint the slab out for you, tell you where all the cables are. That way you don't have to worry about anybody hitting them. And you know that if you start getting close, you got to start bringing in caution to what you're doing. Here, this is just, a poor example of how a closet is not being utilized to its maximum. In this case also, there's a chase up here that is not being used. So I'm not sure why that chase is even there. So if I were to remodel this, I would take that whole chase out and add another 12 inches to the height of this closet, which in this case could give you another clothes hanging rung up there. The sliding doors here, I'd find another solution to the sliding doors also. Remote area is pretty self-explicit, and there's not much you can do or not do here, other than, in this case, you'd probably end up having to replace that commode. So we're going to go up the staircase now, up to the second floor. And as you see, I'm climbing up the stairs, and I get to the bend here again, and this was, again, framed incorrectly. This space from here to the edge should be nothing less than 7 inches. This one's close. This one's close. This one is incorrect. Again, would that pass by an inspector? Some catch it, some don't. Again, it's not the code. So it should be done and be redone correctly on that. Safety rail needs to be in here all the way around. Safety rail up here on the balcony. This all needs to be re-put up. Anybody falls, I can tell you folks that, when you're remodeling, and if someone were to come in here and they were to fall, this is a major lawsuit for you. And the chances of you winning it are zero. The courts will go in their favor every time.
Yep.
Okay. Up here in the game room, we'll go through it real quick, but not a whole lot here. Again, not supported. The header not supported properly in the way it should have been. All new ceiling up here. Some that did exist got mold on it. They've sprayed everything up here for mold. They still left insulation in here. This insulation all needs to come out. They used a sealer down along the base of these windows here. This may or may not be the right stuff. I don't know. But there are a lot of different sealers, and you got to make sure you use the correct sealer for what you're using it for. In some cases, that has to be fire caught. Okay. So example, what you need to watch for. Now, the new ceiling was put in here. This is all new ceiling here. They put a beam all the way across. It is supported by 2 on each end. I would have personally added another scab on one side or another complete 2x6 so that these two are supporting the beam above. This one is next to it as just support from all the way from top to bottom again. The new platform they built up here, I'm sure, is for the heating and cooling units. At least one, probably the water heater that we saw down below. They've hung in a new unit over here that you can see back into the attic space. Coming back out here, the framer, again, I guess cutting quarters. If you come back here and look at this beam that goes across here supporting these timbers this way, you see these first 5 here all have hangers. Now, he didn't nail in all the spaces for the nails. Hangers are only good as if they're put up properly. Every hole, the hanger is the metal part that you see there. So every hole that they put in there, there should be a nail in it. Now, if you keep going down here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 of these that he neglected to put that hanger on. So again, done improperly, needed to be done. And the cardboard here appears to be the scuttle hole, and that's your attic access, where a ladder, I'm assuming, would drop down from that, and that puts you up in there to where your water heater and then another air conditioning unit would be. This house probably has a split system for heating and air. You got one over there for probably that side of the house, and then you'd have one up here for this side of the house. Subfloor seems to be pretty good here. I don't see any delamination or anything like that. So this is something that you can keep very easily. Sure. You come down here, we're going to go into the bedrooms. Oh, I should go back this way, left to right. Not a whole lot in the bedrooms other than the fact that there's all new ceiling or roof joists above you. It's all been re-supported, redone. So they lost probably, I'm guessing, 95% of the roof on this house. What you see here are a factor of 2 things. A lot of this is water and the soot that came down from the fire. You see that on this wall. You'll see it on the wall over here to my right. The fire was extensive enough to have to come in and redo all of their HVAC plumbing from the outside coming up. And that's what all this is. This here is actually the gas line that comes into the building. So the gas meter must be over there on that side of the house. But again, all this sheetrock needs to come off. The bathroom in here, pretty much destroyed. It's going to need a new commode, new tile. Cabinet looks like it's okay. I don't know what the inside is, but possibly could be repainted. New countertop, new faucet, and so forth. If you take a look at that commode in that bathroom, you'll see that it's a child's commode. It's a small one. This bathroom actually has enough space in it to where you could put a standard commode in there. I can tell you, most people would prefer to have a standard commode in there versus what's there now. We just have another bedroom that's very similar to what we just walked into. And the last bedroom up here kind of just gives you the idea too, they left some of the ceiling joists in here. You can tell the nails are still in here. You can see where they've taken the sheetrock down, tore it down, but they left the nails, which all have to be taken out. But you can see, again, the water damage from the fire and so forth. And some of this, I'm assured is mold. Here again, all this sheetrock needs to come out. All that insulation and all these walls around here, exterior walls and so forth, it's all damaged. It all needs to come out. And then, of course, all new attic insulation need to be added. And this is a Jack and Jill bath, to where it means that it goes from one bedroom to the other, so both bedrooms can use it. This would have to be totally redone also. Tub, commode, sink, and, the cost associated with having to redo that. Okay.
The first thing I want you to do is to talk about this sign that is here in the kitchen, long past when you would have even needed that sign. However, it's worthless.
Yeah, this sign, it's a caution sign. He has a picture of it. It says, please advise to visit and inspect the property at your own discretion. Exercise caution during your visit and take appropriate safety measures. This sign does not negate in any way your responsibility as anybody being hurt on the site of this house. Yeah, it's nice that you put it up there, but again, legally, it has no bearing on nor standing. It's kind of like being a beware of dog sign on your fence. You're telling the people that there is possibly a danger behind the fence, but it does not negate anything. So just wanted to bring that up.
Yeah.
Again,
I just found that was hilarious that it was at the back door and not the front door. So where normally everyone comes. Okay, I'm the one that works on the marketing and the after repair values for the most part. Any of the flips that we work on. And walking into this, like I told you, there's 3 types of flips. You've got your beginners are going to be your soft, easy flip. That's your lipstick on a pig. That's going to be carpet, flooring, countertops, maybe a few appliances, new paint, new lights. That's about it. Soft, easy, in and out. Medium, a little bit more involved. You're going to be putting in maybe you're definitely going to reface your cabinets. You're definitely maybe going to move a wall or two, but it's not going to get overly involved. But the third one is the heavy rehab. This at the minimum is a heavy rehab. However, for us, just talking about heavy rehab, let's talk about price. What do you think you might need to bring in to be able to completely renovate this house?
You're probably in the $250,000 range to do it correctly.
Right.
And that's taking all the sheetrock out, and that's rewiring everything correctly, doing some framing that needs to be done, and then just your overall finish out. You're looking at probably somewhere around $250,000, I would say.
Well, let's just talk about windows alone, just to give you an idea. Windows for this house, because it is quite extensive and it is a 2-story, just doing 17 to 20 windows is going to run somewhere around $30,000 at the minimum, maybe $35,000. And this one probably has more windows than that, which means I'm going to be at $35,000 to $40,000 just for the windows. So, and that's not looking at the top of the line. That's just getting your regular dual pane windows that you need in every house that are vinyl. Flooring, I got to do all the flooring in every place in this house. So flooring is going to run me at a minimum flooring with installation, that's your labor, to $850, $950 a foot.
About that, yeah,
okay.
With labor.
All right, so you take all of this, and what you're doing here is you're adding square footage as well to get the after repair value that I want. So that after repair value here will get me in the $900 to $1 million range. And this one right now is for sale for like $550 or $530, totally out of any realm of realization that they know what, logic is. It ought to be around $420, $425, which is what we would offer on this. But anyway, let's just go with that. If I'm going to do my flooring and all of that, and I have 200 square feet, then I'm talking about a significant figure to be able to put in just flooring. So that starts to ratchet up that number for your rehab, just so you understand what it takes. When you work with me in my classes, I actually teach you how to do your estimation for your pricing, because you need to know that figure just to get your hard money loan or your lending or pull any money from wherever you're going to, from an investor or something. They want to know what you're going to spend. Now, for us, because we have extensive experience in working with home building from ground up, I would say this thing needs to be bulldozed.
So when she talks about bulldozing, she literally means tearing the house down and even the slab and
Yep.
tearing the slab up. So you're starting with a pad of dirt.
Fresh ground.
Much easier, much simpler than what you'd have to go through in doing this, okay?
Yes.
In doing a rehab of this size, a major rehab, it's critical too that you live to your budget. And it's very difficult sometimes to do that. You start seeing things like, oh, if I put another $5,000 here or $3,000 there, and you do that throughout the project,
Adds up.
you just added who knows how much more to this project. So in a new home, you don't have those problems because everything's going to be taken out. Everything's going to be estimated to pretty close to the dollar that it's going to cost.
Yes.
So very important. So in our case, if we were actually to redo this one, we would demo it.
Yes.
We would take this back down to dirt. A demo on a house this size will take probably a week. And that's taking all the superstructure down and taking the slab out of the ground. It could run you anywhere from, depending on times, if they're really busy, it might run you an extra $5,000, so you might be looking at $25,000, maybe $30,000 to do this. In the hard times, you can probably have them come in here and do this for $15,000 to $20,000.
Just depends.
The timing is kind of what's relevant with them. But
Your subcontractor.
But in a week, they could have this thing totally demoed out.
Now, before you start anything like this, even a heavy rehab or any kind of a rehab, you want to have your suppliers already put in place. So you need to have your suppliers so that you can get a discount, a builder's discount. No, you may not be the builder, but you still want the builder's discount so that you can get things for less than what the average Joe Schmo goes in and buys it for. That gives you another benefit of what you can be able to put in to this house for the dollar figure, and somebody else can pay a little bit higher for that. I'm just saying, this rehab, buyers have no vision. I've talked about that a million times. The reason why this house hasn't sold, it's been on the market quite a while, is buyers have absolutely no vision. So the chances of this selling the way it is is zero and none. Even most of your rehabbers do not have this expertise. I'm just saying. So,
And one of the things that rehabbers can kind of fall into is that when they do a redesign or a remodel, they have a tendency to do it in their own taste. Not a good thing to do. You're remodeling for the purpose of the masses. You want to attract as many people as you possibly can. And by doing that, you're going to use the colors that are at this time that are hot. They want open floor plans. You don't want to put maybe a lot of accent walls in it or anything like that. This, again, is you're designing for the masses and not for you and your own personal tastes. And this will help in the resale value. It'll help her sell the home that much quicker. And in some cases, you'll get to a point where she can even pre-sell the house before you're even done with it.
Because we've already made all the decisions, I don't allow anyone to come in and make choices, because all that does is slow down your process and increase your price. Those are two things that is just evil for a renovator. Anyway, if you want to know how to do what we do, I'm Suzanne Johns. I work with fix and flap rehabbers all the time. I teach this in a class. And when you come out of my class, you'll know what you're doing. And I actually walk you through your first flip as soon as you come out. So should be a little less chance of you ever falling on your face. Point is, we want you to make money. If you would like to be in the class, click right below here.